Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Bob Dzienis with Better Real Estate, no longer with eXp Realty. If you checked out my last video, you know that I moved recently to Better Real Estate. And I am back with one of my favorite people in the world. That's Jackie Romano with Realign Design. What's going on, Jackie? How are you?
Doing good. Just trying to stay safe and keeping
Yeah,
busy.
yep, yep.
Craziness going on, but it's
Yeah,
uh it's good.
I don't know. I think we thought, all right, is the situation like going to calm down a little bit, but it doesn't seem like it is too much, but we'll just have to see. So
Yeah, people are still moving. People are still getting ready for the school year now, so
yeah,
it's busy.
yeah, absolutely, it still is busy, and we're still, in the real estate side, we're still seeing multiple offers in many towns, and mortgage rates are still good. So but we are starting to see now some more listings come on, right? So definitely starting to see a little bit more of that, and the market's settling a little bit. It seems to be leveling off in some of the towns, but I think people are finally starting to feel like, all right, I think it's time to list. So one of the things that we wanted to talk about in this video today is really all about curb appeal, right? That's probably,
Mhm.
it's that first initial perspective that somebody sees when a buyer walks up to a house. They're going to see, what does the house look like on the outside. So we wanted to talk about curb appeal. And we were talking before a little bit about some of those areas of a home that just give it that actual curb appeal. So we actually spoke about garage doors. Like, that's like top 5 list, a garage door. But the number one thing that people want to really look at, I guess, and should consider changing or painting or whatever it might be, is the front door of a home,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Absolutely.
And
So go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say front door, and it's really inexpensive to do, to
Yeah,
paint or just update the hardware.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's an easy fix that has a really big impact. So your return on investment for doing something like that it's a home run.
Absolutely. So, it's funny because I guess times have changed where it used to be like, oh, maybe I'm going to paint the door red, or, let's talk about colors, I guess, first, right? So,
Sure.
are there certain colors that people are maybe should be considering, or what are kind of the trends now from the color of a front door?
Yeah. So color of the front door, what you don't want to do is purple, because believe it or not, purple is like on the list of like people hate purple front doors.
Okay.
People don't like purple. So at all costs, don't do purple.
So don't Barney it, right?
Don't Barney up your house. No.
Yeah,
So the
don't
colors
Barney it.
that the colors that are trending have been trending for the past few years. Red is still like number one.
Hmm.
Black, blue, or even a stain. So like if
Hmm.
you have like a craftsman style home, a nicely stained wood door.
Yeah.
The one thing with that, you want to make sure that you don't do the trim and the door in the same color. You want that door to pop. So
Oh,
that's
really?
something that you want to, pay attention to as well. But you don't want your trim to match your door. That's
Okay.
like out.
Okay.
Um, Gray and yellow are also colors that are kind of, trending right now as
Okay.
well.
So more on the lighter side or kind of the darker side of those colors, would you say?
It runs the spectrum really, but you really want your front door to kind of pop.
Yeah.
I have some numbers here which I thought were really interested. There was a survey done, and they said 70% of buyers like a colorful or unusual colored door.
Mm,
So it's in a favor to have something a little bit brighter, a little bit more interesting on the front door. So
right.
70% of your buyers are looking for that. And then 79% felt it increased the value or the interest in the house.
Yeah.
So that's huge. I mean, that's
Yeah.
almost 80%
Yeah.
riding on the color of the front door.
Yeah. It's that first impression, right? And
Absolutely. Online pictures and staging is what gets people interested in the house.
mhm.
If they're coming to actually see it, some people, the front is what their first impression is. So curb appeal, some people, if they don't like the curb appeal, they don't even get out of the car to look at the house. I mean,
Yeah.
you could have it, beautiful on the inside, but if they don't like the outside, they're not even getting out of the car.
Yeah.
So it's super important to make sure, of course, the front door, and we're talking about color, and we'll talk about hardware in a little bit, but,
Yeah.
also just making sure that the lawn is cleaned up, that everything is kind of maintained. The porch is clear of any kind of like cobwebs or bugs or just debris, leaves, any of that.
You know, a lot of times when I go to showings, and you do see, it's that first impression when you're walking up, and whether it's a stoop or you're coming to the front door, like the light fixtures too. Like you could see if someone has really taken the time to either clean out the cobwebs and that kind of stuff. Because if that's showing, it's kind of gross, right? Like it's just that first impression, like, ooh, it sticks in a buyer's mind a lot of times. So when it comes to the door itself, and so we talked about color, you would also mention hardware. So what about hardware should somebody think about if they're going to make some changes to their front door?
Yeah, so the hardware, you want to kind of go with the theme of the house. Of course, you want to make sure that it's in good condition. It's not chipped or dated or worn. So matte black is really trending right now. If you have a lighter door, it really helps it to pop. Any of the chromes or nickel plating is also nice if it's a little bit more modern of a house. Traditional homes, you could do something a little bit more unique, like if you have a Victorian home or a craftsman home or something like that, you could do something a little bit more unique on the hardware. It's the first thing that people see when they walk up to the door. So it's really, it kind of, people form an impression within seconds.
Yeah.
So it's really important to make sure that that first impression is, in your favor.
Yeah, it's true. Do you, and I'm kind of throwing you off here. Do you have any, are there any websites or any of that kind of stuff, any resources that somebody could go to if they're looking for hardware? Because, I mean, you might tend to go to like your Home Depot or your Lowe's or that kind of stuff, or those types of stores. But are there other sites that maybe somebody could look at, maybe something for a little bit more unique flair, perhaps?
There's a few that I'm thinking of, but of course I can't remember them on the spot, but I'll give them to you and we can link them down below.
Okay, no, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure if you go on Pinterest and all that kind of stuff, there's all kinds of ideas there too.
So. Oh yeah, you can get lost in Pinterest.
If you are in the process of selling the home, you don't necessarily have to put so much money into it, right? On the hardware itself, it should just look clean. It should look new. It should look fresh, I would imagine. Yeah.
And again, that people walking into the door, they see that first thing. It's really, it gives a big impression.
Yeah. Anything else in regards to curb appeal that we wanted to mention or talk about, or specifically with doors?
No, I think, color is super important. So, get out the paint and go for one of these other colors if you don't have one. Make sure that the paint is fresh in whatever you do have, again, making sure that there's no chipping, there's no dirt or anything else on the door. It's the first thing that people will see when they drive up. So you want to make sure. The one other thing I would mention is the numbers of the house. Make sure that those are clean and up to date. Don't
a lot
use
of times you can't see the numbers, like if they haven't, maybe a seller hasn't really considered like numbers that will pop from the street so that they can be seen. Right.
Yeah. And I mean, you could spend a ton on this, but there's some really cool style fonts for the numbers that you can, I don't know if font is the right word for numbers, but I guess it is. Yeah. Sure. So the style, the style of the numbers, should match the house too.
So we spoke about the door, we spoke about colors, we talked a little bit about materials and kind of the hardware itself, but anything else that we want to think about too? I think we talked a little bit about lightning. We talked a little bit about, let's hope to God, no lightning, but we talked a little briefly about lighting. Anything else in regards to lighting that we wanted to mention?
Yeah, I mean, lighting is also part of what you see when you walk up. So, making sure that the lighting fixture is, of course, clean, get the bugs out, and make sure that the light is appropriate too. Of course, change out any dead bulbs that you have because you want it
That's
nicely.
A big one. I see that a lot where someone hasn't taken the time to just, change a bulb that's inside.
Yeah. And again, it's that philosophy of like, well, if they didn't do that, what else are they not doing or taking care of in the house? So it's such a little thing, but these are kind of like the checklist items that we go down as a stager. We go down all that as a homeowner. It's something to think about too. And something else I see a lot of is, of course things get outdated and you can always update your fixture, which isn't, again, a super, big expense to update your fixtures. But I find, making sure that the size is appropriate for the area.
All right. So, Jackie, I think you've provided some really good tips in regards to that initial curb appeal, especially when it comes to that front door and that front space.
Yep.
Because that really is that first impression that people have to consider and think about. That's what buyers are going to look at. That's that first impression. But sellers really need to consider it as well because it could make all the difference. I mean, it really could
Yeah.
be a good return on their investment just by making some maybe smaller adjustments, whether it's paint or changing hardware around or whatever the situation might be.
Yeah, it's a great return on your investment, and you'll never lose money on it.
So again, Jackie Romano, it's always a pleasure speaking with you. Jackie Romano, her business is Realign Design, and I'll have a website somewhere so you have access to it, and I'll put her information down in the description as well below. So Jackie's got some great design tips across the board for anything if you're just looking for your home in general and you're going to stay in your house, or maybe you're looking to sell your house as well. She does some great staging opportunities too. So more information on Jackie's below or here, whatever I decide to do. I'm gonna roll with it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, check out my if you go on the website, check out the website for my services, and also join the newsletter because I always put out tips every month on different things, design related, staging related.
Yeah.
So I promise I won't spam anybody, but yeah, about once a month. So join, and I have some freebies too for that as well. So
Awesome.
check it out.
All right, Jackie, great to talk to you. I'm sure we'll be talking again soon. We'll do another video soon. We've got the fall coming up, so I'm sure there's a lot of stuff we can talk to you about that.
Yay! Absolutely.
Awesome.
Look forward to
All right,
it.
Jackie, thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye.